Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Perumal Jegan. Today, I'm going to continue the part two of phishing email analysis. And we have been going through try hack me rooms for phishing email analysis. In the first room, I explained how to approach, how to handle the phishing email, what are all the details you need to collect from the header, and while you are handling the email body, how to handle it without clicking any suspicious URLs or attachments. Apart from that, we also seen some of the techniques to analyze the email header. And in today's video, in part two, actually the Try Hack Me came up with the list of various phishing emails that are already seen in the wild. So without wasting a time, let's get in and learn. Now we are in the room Try Hack Me phishing emails 2, and this particular room contains no machines. So this is just a theoretical room, and let's see what we can learn from here. Learn the different indicators of phishing attempts by examining actual phishing emails. Introduction. So we covered in our part 1 video about the actual phishing emails and how we can manually analyze such emails. And each email sample showcased in this room will demonstrate different tactics used to make phishing emails look legitimate. This is very important. Along with all those emails, they also gave the tactics what they used to lure the users. And the more convincing the phishing email appears, the higher the chances the recipient will click on a malicious link, download and execute malicious file, or even send the prints of some country a wire transfer. Warning: the samples go through this room contains the information from actual spam. Actually, all these samples gathered from real world, real world. Actually, these phishing emails seen in the wild. So while handling these emails, beware. So let's finish the first part. Moving to the second one, cancel your PayPal order. Actually, it's the mail subject actually, and here you can see the techniques that are employed in this email: spoofed email address, URL shortening service, HTML to impersonate a legitimate brand. So let's see what it is in detail. Now I zoomed my screen a little bit. uh, Here are some quick observations about this sample. So hope you can see this screenshot. Here they attached, this is the screenshot of the real world email, uh, which is pretend to be from paypal.com, but actually it is not. You can see the first one here, the recipient. The recipient email looks suspicious, and the second one, you can see they mentioned the name as service at paypal.com. But in contrary, when you see the email address, you can see the mail ID is totally different and the domain is different and it is some gibberish. The third point, subject line: your receipt for payment to amazing stuff. So there they are trying to lure or trick the user with some urgency or some uh, actually they are, it's a lure attempt actually. So you can see the points here. The first one, this is an unusual email recipient address. Yes, it is, and this is not the email address associated with the Yahoo account. You can see the domain mentioned here: mail.info.cnsmr.sg3.yahoo.net. That's what they're trying to say. And this mismatch should immediately stand out the sender email, as I mentioned earlier, and the subject line hints that you made a purchase of transaction of some sort. If you don't recall this account, then it will grab your attention. And the social engineering tactic is to prompt you to interact with the email. Interact with the email with haste. Now let's look the content of the email body. Earlier we have seen the email address and the subject. Now we see the content. So here they gave some sort of payslip, some invoice. So you sent a payment of 120 USD to amazing stuff. They also gave some an email ID. I mean, sorry, an email address of help desk, and the address details and the payment details. Let's see the second part of the screenshot. So here you can see the highlighted one, cancel the order. So this is what a trick. Actually, they trying to trick the recipient with some uh, invoice copy, and they are making the recipient to click this particular button, but a normal user might not aware what is behind this link. So when you simply keep your cursor over this link, you'll be able to see the email address associated with this link at the bottom. So that is one of the methods to identify the link. And you can also refer the HTML code of the respective page. So if you see this HTML link, there they mention the hyperlink. You can see cancel the order button is associated with the this particular link, https colon double slash is.gd. Totally weird, spooky domain. And so that's what they mentioned here. And also, the link uses URL shortening service. It is not a good idea to click on the link if you don't know what you are interacting with. So in that case, there are certain tools you may use to find what is the exact URL behind the shortened URL. All right. So now they also did some analysis on that shortened URL and came up with the response what is behind that link. And it is a Google page, strange link redirects to google.com. All right. So note the tool to expand shortened URL will be discussed in the next room. Okay. And what phrase does the gibberish sender email starts with? So let's see the gibberish sender email, and it starts with the phrase no reply. I think that must be the answer. No reply. When I click submit, yeah, I got it right. Now let's move on to the next one. Here it is, track your package. The mail subject is track your package. And this particular email used the tricks of spoofed email address, pixel tracking, link manipulation. We have already seen the spoofed email address. Pixel tracking is a new term to me, especially. I am just learning this particular concept. And link manipulation, let's see what it is. And you can see this similar screenshot that we have seen in our previous exercise. The first one, spoofed email ID. They are claiming to be distribution center, but the email ID is showing some other weird domain. Beginpro.club must be fishy domain. And the second one, track your package. And they also gave some tracking ID. Next one, track your package. The same phrase, but this time they associated a URL with this. When you click, it will be redirected to some other place. And in this sample, Yahoo blocked the images from automatically loading. Any guesses why? Now you can see the message here. You can see the exclamation mark here. For your security, we disabled all images and links in this email. If you believe it is safe to use, mark this message as not spam. Uh, I'll tell you why they made this. But before that, let's see what is the URL behind this track your package link. You can see track your package link is associated with this particular URL. devret.xyz. That is the domain, a weird domain. And also, you can see one more URL found in the HTML, the page HTML, and the link is the same domain, devret.xyz, but it is an image. So this is where the pixel tracking comes in. Actually, the pixel tracking is a method that is used by attackers to determine whether the recipient really clicked that link, really read that message or not. So this is just a tracking mechanism used by the attackers. They simply use any image to track whether that particular email or file been opened or read, or what is the action taken on that email. So it is just a tracking. Uh, for the security reasons, we can disable this image feature in email. Let me show how. Now I am in the Gmail settings. So when you see uh, general options, you'll be able to witness an option called images. By default, always display external images is chosen. But for the security reason, you may disable it or you may change this option to ask before displaying external images. This option also disables dynamic email. So when you disable this feature, when you receive any email, you will no longer see any images associated with that email, and it will be asking your acknowledgement before showcasing that image. So by employing this technique, we can prevent the attackers from tracking the email. Okay, so that is the concept of pixel tracking. And they also give a particular URL to learn more about the pixel tracking. And here you can see, I hope you can see the URL at the bottom, www.theverge.com. Actually, when you hover your cursor on a particular link, it will show what is the URL associated with that link. Okay, which is an excellent method to detect the associated URL. Now we can understand Yahoo automatically blocked these images, this email. Many providers do the same. That is why this particular email not showing any images associated with this email. All right. Now let's see what is the root domain for each URL and defang the URL. So let's see what is the domain. You can see the domain here, devret.xyz. Even here the domain is same. So what we need to do is we need to enter the domain name by defanging it. So in order to defang, we can use a tool CyberChef. When I go to the tool CyberChef, I can devret.xyz and we can use defang feature. Defang URL. So when I bake, I'm getting the defanged domain name. So when I put the defanged domain name here, I got it correct. Now let's move on to the next email. Select your email provider to view the document. So this is another email, another subject, and this email sample will highlight the following techniques: urgency, HTML to impersonate a legitimate brand, link manipulation, credential harvesting, poor grammar or typos. So these are all some general characteristics of malicious emails. So let's see this image. Hope you can see. So here the email is sent on July 15, 2021, and also you can see that particular the second option there they mention the expiry date as July 15, 2021. Both the email sent and the expiry date is same, and they are creating some urgency to click this particular link, so that they can lure, they can do whatever they want. And you can see the third one, download document here. So this is what the action the attacker expecting from the victim. So that's what they given here. There is a sense of urgency, and there is an action to perform, in this case a button to download the facts. So when you click download document here, I think it is redirecting to this particular link. Here they are asking you to download or click another link. So the above image shows the victim redirected to a page created to pass as OneDrive. Notice the URL is not anything Microsoft related. The page is claims to be OneDrive, but URL is totally different. App.popped.in, totally weird. And when I see the second link, here you can see the page header is SharePoint Online, and the URL is totally different. Seems to be some spooky URL, bdk.motorsport.com. And you can see there are three links in the page: sign in with Outlook, Office 365, and other mails. They placed three different the link they embedded three different links so that the user can choose what they wish, but any of the link, if they click any of the link, it will be uh, it will be putting the victim in deep trouble, and the victim is directed to yet another site. This one was crafted to resemble Adobe. Again, notice the URL doesn't look like related with Adobe. Also notice the page title in the tab SharePoint Online. We have already seen that. And the victim has options to sign in with the email provider of their choice. They gave three email providers here, and they click any of the link, it will be finally landed to a login page. Now let's see what it does. The URL again, it is weird. When a victim believes it is a legitimate Outlook and enters their credential, it will simply display some error or reload to the same page. It won't allow the user to log in because the page is spooky. And what exactly happens here? Once the user, the victim enters their credential, it simply get those credentials and exfiltrate the credentials to the attacker's server. It will be stored in the attacker's server safely, and the user will be given this particular error or some other page. So this is the spookiness. So this is the activity called credential harvesting. So that is the technique used in this email. So that is their ultimate objective. All right. And also, lastly, notice one more grammatical errors. All this work they put into is, you would think they would run a spell check. The email sample is obtained from any run. If you wish to interact with the email and see the full analysis, refer the link below. So when I open this any run analysis, I can see a similar phishing email which is being analyzed in the, not similar, the same email which is being analyzed in app.any. And here they, you can see once they click the link, what are all the page the user is being redirected. And the result is malicious activity. If you wish, you can get the sample from here, and you will be able to put this sample into any of the phishing analysis tools, and you can analyze what this mail exactly does. All right. Now let's see. Let's try to answer the question. This email sample used the names of few major companies, their products, logos such as OneDrive, Adobe. What is the other company name used in this phishing email? Adobe, they gave name. Let's see what else. What is the other brand they mentioned? Um, if I see this screenshot, yeah, here you can see Citrix attachments. Let's try with the word Citrix, 6 letters. I think it will match. Citrix is the another brand used to lure the user. Yes, it is. And let's move on to the next one. The next mail subject is, please update your payment details. Again, some payment, some finance related email. Okay, let's see the techniques used here. Spoofed email address, urgency, HTML to impersonate legitimate brand, poor grammar and or typos, and attachments. Let's see this screenshot. So here they used the popular Netflix to lure the user. And the first one, the same, the real email ID is different. And the second one, Netflix ID is suspended. And they are trying to uh, play with the user, and they are trying to create some panicness in user and creating some urgency with the email subject. And the third one, your account is on hold. And you can also see some typos here. Netflix, there is a typo, and here in the subject there is a typo, I mean in the sender email there is a typo. So these are all some common flaws used in the phishing, and here are some quick observations. So we have already seen this, that's what they gave. And also notice the different misspelling the word of Netflix. and the technique is called typospotting. They're intentionally making that mistake, and the technique is called typospotting. And you can see the HTML code for this particular page here. Your account is on hold. That is the word. Netflix ID is suspended. And when you see this, we no longer able to see any HTTPS links. When you click any of this image, you won't be redirected to anywhere because there is no associated link. But when you scroll bottom, you can see further screenshot of the email. At the bottom, you can see an attachment. Appears to be a PDF attachment, but actually it is not the real PDF. Let's see what it is. Notice the phone number of the Netflix at a first glance. Some unusual US based victim. All right. Now you can see the weird document. So while you are handling this document, you must be careful. You should not click any of, you should not open this attachment before knowing what it is. Now, what should users do? They receive suspicious email and text messages claiming to be from Netflix. So this is the question that we need to answer. So I'm scrolling up and I'm trying to know any links associated with this. Let's open this. Actually, this link talks about typo squatting. So if you wish, you can refer. And let's try to answer this. If I see the hint, they gave a URL. So let me open the URL. And police warn of new Netflix email phishing scam. So here, when I scroll down, they also give an advisory. Netflix are at the when users receive suspicious email or text message claiming to be from Netflix, are advised to forward message to phishing.netflix.com. I think that must be the answer. So this is the email address. When you are getting any phishing email with Netflix banner, you can feel free to report with this to this email ID. And let's move to the next one. Your recent purchase. That is the next email header. And the techniques are spoofed email address as usual, recipient BCC'd, urgency, poor grammar or typos, attachments. So let's see. Uh, Here you can see the first one, spoofed email address as usual, and the second one, when you see the recipient ID, it is not in two. Actually, it is mentioned in BCC, which means they are hiding other recipients from us. So we might be one among the bulk of recipients. So that is the reason to check whether the recipient address is part of CC or BCC. Okay. So, and the BCC means blind carbon copy. And the third one, element of urgency. So, there is an urgency, action required, your recent purchase, double jackpot slots, Las Vegas. They are just trying to lure you with some offer. And the file extension you may not familiar to you might not familiar to you, dot file, which means it's associated with Microsoft Word. It is another kind of Word document. And when they try to open this document, of course this document must be some malicious document. And when they try to open the document, they are able to see some offer related thing, and also some advertisement here. The above image shows contained within the attachment. Yeah. So let's see, try to answer this image. Try to answer this question. What does BCC mean? Blind carbon copy. All right. What techniques was used to persuade the victim to not ignore the email and act swiftly? And that is what we are talking. It's nothing but urgency. So if I answer that, I'm getting it correct. Now, last but not least, DHL Express Courier shipping notice. And just for your information, DHL is one of the firms, one of the top firms used by the brand name used by the attackers to lure the user, because most of the organizations using the shipping service, so they rely on the shipping services like DHL and FedEx. So what the attacker is doing, they are using their delivery notice or some invoice messages to to lure the victims. So they are, so that is their method. Actually, in recent cyber news, DHL dethroned Microsoft in this sort of email scams, because the attacker started using DHL name more than Microsoft name. All right. Now let's see the next one. This email sample will highlight the following techniques: spoofed email address, HTML to impersonate legitimate brand attachments. Okay. When I see this, here I can see the spoofed email ID and the shipping notice in the subject, and an image. To view this email as a web page, go here. They also mentioned a string and they are asking us to click. When I see the HTML link, I mean HTML page, for this page, we can see this particular to view this email as web page, that link not associated with any of the URL. But when I scroll down, I can see the email further. There is an Excel sheet. So we must be careful while handling. So you can see they also opened the Excel sheet and they gave what the Excel sheet contains. To translate the language, kindly click enable editing above. In the no, there will be an option to enable editing. When you click that, boom, the malware will detonate and it will start doing its nefarious activities. The attachment runs a payload that throws an error. So when they click enable attachment, it does what it has to do, and here they are getting the pop-up message. There is an executable name rega sms.exe, and they are simply giving, I mean, the malware is simply giving a pop-up, but in the background, it will be doing some nefarious activity. And what is the name of the executable that the Excel document attempts to run? And that is nothing but rega sms.exe. Rega sms.exe. When I submit, I'm getting it right. Now I'm moving to the conclusion part. So in this room, we have seen the various phishing samples, and also they gave some additional resources. So if you wish, you can open all these URLs and check what sort of information is given here. And finally, I'm clicking completed. So I finished this room by answering the question. Yeah, this is all about the incredible fishing room too. Hope you have seen some of the weird and unbelievable kind of samples here, the email samples. So if you receive any of this kind of emails, then feel free to analyze these emails with the tools that are present in the online. So with that said, in the next part, I'm gonna make videos about the tools which we are going to use while analyzing the phishing emails. Stay tuned and hope you really enjoyed this. If you really did, hit the like button and you can consider subscribing my channel. If you have any opinion, put it in the comment section. I'll read those comments and I'll come up with my response. And you can share this video among your friends as well. Um, Cheers. See you guys.